The Xbox One S is out today, August 2nd, for $400 in the 2 terabyte model, which is what I have here. This is a revised version of the Xbox One, which you see the original model back here. This is slimmer, it's more compact, it's better put together, it doesn't have that sort of hollow VCR sound that the other one makes. It's just an all-around better feeling device. We're going to hop right into the review, but first let me just run down some of the features, some of the things that are different, some of the things that are the same. First, it does come with the Xbox One S controller, which I reviewed separately. I'll try to put a link in the description so you can get to that review. That has some key improvements that are worth looking into. If you haven't bought an Xbox One up to this point, I would suggest shelling out a little bit extra for the One S model, particularly because of the controller, and as well as the improvements to the device itself. It also comes with this kickstand. Pops right back on to the bottom down here, or right actually where I'm holding it. You slide it onto there. I'm not going to put it on right now, but when I do put it into my entertainment center, I will be using the kickstand. I like the way it looks standing up. Some of the features. First, it's slimmer, but it no longer has a connect port in the back. That's a missing feature, and you might consider that a feature. Personally, I want to use the connect, so I'll have to use a USB dongle, which I can get for free for a limited period of time. Microsoft says if you have an Xbox One S, an Xbox One, and a Kinect, and you give them all 3 serial numbers, they will send you one of these dongles for free. But instead of the Kinect, this does have an IR blaster up here in the front, right there. It also has an IR out, so you can attach a separate, IR blaster to make it, more widespread. That enables you to turn devices on and off by turning on the Xbox One. The Xbox One now supports microphones for controlling Cortana, Microsoft's voice assistant. So you can say, hey Cortana, turn off, and between the IR blaster here and you saying that into a microphone, it should turn off all your stuff. Now, again, I prefer Kinect for that because it's just always listening, and I don't have to be wearing a microphone to make that work. Other than that, this is still an Xbox One. I think we should probably just jump into what I like, and instead of just and since it is basically an Xbox One, and this is part 1 of 2 reviews I'm going to do of this, and for this review I'm focusing on whether or not it's worth upgrading if you are sticking to a 1080p screen. I will be doing the 4K version of this review soon. I'm waiting on a 4K monitor to get here. I'm going to try it out with that has HDR support and everything like that. Those features are worth considering kind of on their own, and we're going to do that on its own. But if you are a 1080p person and you're sticking to your 1080p screen, really the thing to talk about here is just whether or not it's worth upgrading if you're going to do that. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think for most people, you might be better off waiting next year, get the Xbox One Scorpio. But there are still some things here that you might say, hey, that's worth it for me. And I'll touch on those right now. So typically I do it on what I like, what I don't like for my reviews. Instead, I'm going to be like what I think is better than the original Xbox One. Let's start, obviously where we should start, the size. This is the Xbox One S. And this much heavier beast is the original Xbox One. You can see that they are it's just night and day. I think this is 40% smaller or 40% the size of this one. I can't remember. It looks just completely different. And I'll compare it to the PS4 and the Wii U here in a second, just to kind of give you more of an idea of what this is. But I do want to say, just like holding both of them as well, while this one is heavier and bigger, it also feels cheaper. I'm gonna tap it over by the microphone and let you hear it. You hear that sort of like boingy rattling? You don't get that with the Xbox One S. The Xbox One S feels compact. It feels solid and sturdy. The Xbox One, the original, does to me feel kind of like an old VCR, where there's components just sort of, there's lots of room to breathe. And I'm sure Xbox or Microsoft did that because they didn't want to take any chances after the Xbox 360. They wanted to leave plenty of room for airflow and for all the components to not warp and bend and cause a red ring of death. That was smart, but it also kind of led to this monstrosity. To be fair, I kind of like the way it looks. I think it's got I like the VCR-ness of it, but not when it comes to the actual build quality and how it kind of just, once you put your hands on it, it feels cheap. Xbox One S, on the other hand, all around expensive feeling device. It feels like a modern console. And I think that's especially true when, and I'll show you right now, the Wii U's on top, so let's just go ahead and get that out. The Wii U also has a weird sound. I picked it up and made that horrible squeaking noise. I don't know if it got picked up on mic. But the Wii U is much smaller, still. And that makes sense. The Wii U is a little bit less powerful. But my feeling that the Xbox One S is a modern console definitely comes home when you compare it to the PS4 now. The PS4 I thought was very sleek when it came out. Now Microsoft has had almost 3 years to see that and iterate and make something better looking, and I think they did. I think the design on the Xbox One S, the way it feels, the way the plastic comes together, and kind of is just a pleasant sensation to the touch. I think they kicked ass here. This looks great. It's just a good looking console, and it looks even more modern than the PS4. Okay, now I got to put my entertainment center back together after taking all those out. Okay, so some other things here that are smarter than the original Xbox One. Let's kind of get back to that. The USB, now that's up on the front. The Xbox One, I'm not going to bring that out anymore. It's on the side in its own little well, and I hate that. I much prefer having it up here in front. It's not in a huge divot anymore. It just sticks right there. I also like, I think this is the eject button. Speaking of which, it is now it's an actual physical button, not capacitive. Same with the power button, which is just, feels so good. Capacitive buttons need to rot in hell. We need to be done with capacitive buttons. I'm taking a stand right now. My monitor's got capacitive buttons and I can't stand it. So that I love that. And on the back here, I just think that all the ports are just so much better organized than the original console. On that system, again, they each are in a well. They are a little bit further sunk into the system. Here, they're just right out. They're flush. And they're just boom, 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 right in a row in a very organized manner. I especially like the HDMI ports now. In the last system, I had 2 different Xbox Ones, and they both had wobbly HDMI outs or ends, I can't remember. And it caused when I passed my cable through there, sometimes the HDMI handshake would fail, and that was very annoying. That's not going to happen here because these HDMI ports are much better. Let's see. We also have we have the Ethernet optical out, IR out, 2 USB ports, and they're both specifically built for hard drives. So if you want to connect external hard drives, these are your high-speed ports. And then you have the HDMI in and the HDMI out, and the power. Yes, so I think just overall, I just like to look at this console. It is very pretty. It's a nice upgrade. But in terms of upgrading from the Xbox One, if I didn't get this sent from Microsoft, which again, I'm a professional reviewer. If you don't know, I work for GamesBeat.com. This is what I do for a living. But Microsoft sent this to me. I'll tell you guys that. I don't know if I would go out and spend my own money. And that's because I plugged it in and I've been messing around with it. And I will do a little bit. I'll do a little bit more of this once I do the 4K review. But again, remember, this is just from the 1080p perspective. This is just for full HD. It didn't seem that much faster in the UI, in the menus, but maybe it was. I feel like things were responding a little bit quicker, but you can never tell with the Xbox One because it depends on what update you're on. I'm on the beta program. Some days you'll be in the update and things will run really well. A few weeks back, I wrote how Cortana was growing on me. In the interim, between then and now, Cortana's turned back to shit on the Xbox One. And now I was using it today and it was working great. So you never know. So it's hard to like run tests to see if this runs the OS any faster. I feel like, Microsoft, if they're going to make this device and they're not going to, giving it the capability to run 4K, maybe they would put something in here that would make it run the menus on the Xbox One a little bit quicker, something that it desperately needs, which is, why I'm looking forward to the Scorpio. I really just want a faster system that could still do everything that the Xbox One does, which is why I still kind of prefer using this as my media device over the PlayStation 4. I want to be able to control stuff with my voice, and this does it. But it's hard to tell if it is actually faster. I'll look into it a little bit more. I'm sure maybe once we kind of, if someone has, I'm sure like a site out there will kind of break it down, comparison by comparison, system by system, to see if this actually is faster than the original Xbox One. But for now, I would just say I can't definitively say whether it is. I don't really think so. But yeah, so what I don't like, I think $400 is a bit much right now for an Xbox One. You can get a new original system for less than $300, almost like $250 or something like that. It's really cheap. That's cheaper than a Wii U. However, getting the 2 terabytes built in, getting the new Xbox One S controller, which I absolutely do love, but you can buy that separately as well, and getting the just this excellent looking system that feels more expensive, feels more premium. All of that is great. I don't know if it's worth the $400. Other things I don't like, there's not much to it. I think everything else, I like everything else. This system is smart. It is a good upgrade. I'm just not sure if it's the upgrade that you should really be spending money now, spending money on right now with the Scorpio on the horizon. Yeah, I think that's gonna have to do it. Running out of time. Like always, trying to keep these under 15 minutes. If you have any questions, hit me up. This is a hard review. It's a hard one. I feel like if you don't have an Xbox One, actually, go ahead. This is it. Buy this one. It's a good time to jump in. The system has plenty of great games. You probably will be able to get a few good bundles with this. I'm sure Microsoft will bundle in some games in time for the holidays. Rise of the Tomb Raider, something like that. Some great games out there. And, it's just going to look so much better in your entertainment system than the old one for most people. Like I said, I like the old one, but I don't like it as much as I like this. It is excellent. Yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up there. It says hello from Seattle on the back now. I'll put a picture of that. Microsoft taking ownership of their products. So yeah, all right. I just wanted to share that before I say goodbye. So I'm going to teach you how to say goodbye. Adios. Until next time, Xbox One S, Gamesbeat.com, Jeff Grubb.